Hello, Thunder Wizards, how are you? So, I'm here live again. This is my second or third live stream since being back in Australia. Seeking to live my new life. Do I have all of the tea in here that I wanted? I can't tell. Anyway, so I want to go and have a Q&A about what I started talking about in the Manifestation Mastery course video that I just did, which has to do with the reasons why you are not where you want to be. And so even though I've used the word excuses here in the title, I don't want you to make the assumption that this is going to be your typical, self-help where, don't let those excuses stop you. You go grab the tiger by the tail there, champ. You can do it. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to tell you that your excuses are meaningless or that they don't have practical reality to them. If what is keeping you from doing what you want to do is that you don't have enough money, or it's because of your job, or it's because of your, pick it, whatever your reason is, that's a very valid reason, very practical reason, and you have to acknowledge that. But I'm here to tell you that those practical realities are still your responsibility. You created them. And that's the tough part, because the whole illusion of this life is that we are tiny little creatures in this huge, really, you think about how big the universe is that we know of. It's enormous. It just makes me, I just realized something. The flat earthers always want to make the universe a lot smaller. You ever notice that? They don't have in fact, they have zero data for any of it, but they'll tell you that, the moon is actually much closer to the earth, or that the sun is much closer to the earth. It's interesting. They're wanting to make things small. I get it. They want to make the world small and manageable. And that way they feel safe. They feel more in control, but they feel safe. When you think about how enormous the universe really is, holy crap, I got to be honest, that's a really scary thought. The thought that we are the only known living beings in our solar system, but in the universe as we know it, we still don't have any objective scientific data. A lot of people have personal experiences. I'm not trying to get in the middle of that. I myself have a Bigfoot experience, but that doesn't change the fact that we don't have any hard data that Bigfoot exists. But when you look at all that, it's a really frightening thing. That, as far as we know, this is the only planet that has the ability to even sustain life. Forget about the fact that there's even life on it. Anyway, I don't want to get into that discussion. Please don't start that discussion with me. I'm not going to go there. I just want to tap into the feeling that we have, which is an illusion, that we are these tiny little helpless beings in this enormous, huge universe, cold, cruel, powerful universe that does things to us. And we experience that when we talk about all the things that are preventing us from whatever it is that we want. So let's once again go through the I'm wanting to protect this table from my messiness here. Let's go through the formula for finding out what your soul desire is, because in case you're new to the channel, this is how it works. You are incarnated into this meat bag that you call your body, yourself, and you bring with you your soul. Your soul has a program that you programmed. Nobody did it to you. You programmed yourself with what we would call your dharma, your orlog, your destiny. And this destiny is what is going to bring you your greatest awareness, your enlightenment, your freedom, whatever word you want to use. It's also going to bring the rest of the universe a greater ability to achieve its awareness. So the most important thing that can ever happen in the universe, I want you to listen to me very carefully. The most important thing that can ever happen in the universe is that you follow your true path. Your true path, the way that you know that you are following the program that you brought with you, is that it brings you joy. Now, if your first response to me is quizzical because you were taught in church that, you know, God's will is that you carry your cross and you carry your burden and you do whatever it is that God says, no matter how horrific it is. And you know who comes to mind is, who is that? Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was miserable. She thought she was sacrificing herself to do God's will. So if that's what you thought doing God's will is, I'm here to tell you that's absolutely incorrect. I don't believe in Jehovah, so I use that word because, you know, even though the majority of people that watch me don't believe in traditional Abrahamic Christianity, you're still programmed to believe that. You're still programmed. You still look for signs. People ask me this all the time. One that I got recently was, you said in one of your videos that the universe protects us. How do we know? Do you get signs like you see 1111 or 333 everywhere? The assumption of that is that you are getting some kind of sign from God. You don't believe in God? Well, why are you up waiting for some sign? You know, why are you waiting for the universe to give you some, some postcard in the mail that says your job is to, oh, now I know what my path is. I saw the sign. I'm waiting for a sign. That's operating from the assumption that you are this little thing and you're in God's big universe. And it's the other way around. You have made yourself small, and so that you could experience reality inside this little body that we have. You know, I love to go surfing. It's one of the reasons I came here. I look across the street there to my new surf spot right across the street. And if I were big and infinite, I wouldn't be able to ride waves on a stick. I wanted to become tiny and get into this three-dimensional reality so I could do things like that. So I could walk in the forest and feel small with all these big trees and the birds and the whatever it is. So you came here and made yourself small so that you could have this experience. You could experience infinity in a different way. So the way that you know that you're following God's will, which is just your soul, is it gives you joy. That's it. There's nothing more profound than that. You don't have to wait to get some kind of approval from the universe, which is another thing that we do. You know, you're looking for that sign. You want the clock to say 11:11. You want that whatever it is, the bird fly, the doves fly right in front of you as you're having your thought about something, and that's the sign. Now I know because I just saw this star in the sky that said the blah blah blah. You don't need that. That's for little kids. That's for little 4-year-olds. Little 4-year-olds need that. Are you a 4-year-old? No, you're an adult. An adult doesn't need an external sign. An adult doesn't need somebody else to pat them on the back and say, here you are, you're a good person, and this is what you're supposed to do. You're good now. We're going to let you have your purpose in life. Your purpose in life is what brings you joy, period. That's it. And so the way that you know that you are following your purpose, your dharma, your orlog, your destiny, is that it gives you joy. But it's challenging, because the other reason we came here was to challenge ourselves. And the main challenge we will always face is, should I do what makes me happy, or should I do what will get approval from God, from my parents, from my spouse, from my church, from society? And you will have to make a choice. It sounds very very trivial, but it's not. People die over this choice. It literally will kill people. People die of cancer because of this very challenging choice. The thought of not getting approval is so overwhelmingly traumatic for them that they get stuck and they die. This is what happens. So I'm not trying to minimize that, but that's all it is. It's very simple. You want a simple answer to the universe? That's it. You're here to experience your joy. Your challenge is to experience your joy for yourself, regardless of any external influences. That's it. So let's get back to the subject. Your excuses are what keep you trapped. So remember what I said in the beginning, that your excuses are very real. My job, I can't because if I quit my job, I won't have money, and then I can't do this, and I won't be able to do that. Maybe if I win the lottery, then I can quit my job, and then I can go and windsurf around the world, or whatever your joy is. Right? That's very real. No, you don't understand. I have kids. I'm raising kids. I can't quit my job because I have to bring money in to support my kids. And so then people turn their, I won't go into a tirade like I did the last two times, but people turn their kids into God, and they forget the fact that they chose to have them. You chose to have unprotected sex, which resulted in children. And so now you're complaining about your choice. And kids, the kids descended out of the sky. And next thing you knew, there were these kids running around, and you somewhere had to take care of them. And I don't know why I'm responsible, but somehow I'm responsible for these. And I got to go work a job. And you don't understand, my kids. Well, you had them. It was your choice. And you have the ability to live your own joy and have the ability to take care of your kids. Okay? By the way, in case people are just showing up, if you're new to this channel, welcome. This is a question and answer. So what I won't do is I won't scroll through everybody's comment. I would like for you to keep your questions relevant to the topic. If you have a question, please write the word question, because otherwise I'm going to think you're just somebody spouting their opinion or saying hello to their friends or something, and I'm going to scroll past you. Write the word question. After the word question, write down what your question is. I'd like it to be associated with this topic if you're not familiar with what I teach, or if you are, you can have a question that is related to what I teach, and I'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, I will pretend you're not there, because it just takes time away from what we're trying to accomplish. Okay, so your excuses. Now, you know what your excuses are. Make a list of them. Your job, your country you live in, whatever it is. Your spouse, your parents, your religion, your whatever. You've got a reason why you can't go do that one thing that gives you joy, assuming you know what it is that gives you joy. A lot of people don't. And that's because they are in conflict. So let me just address that for a second. Let's say you're one of those people. When I take you through this formula, the formula goes like this. First thing is you want to ask yourself is, if you didn't have to make money, That takes care of the job. So in our fantasy world, you don't have to make money. So if you didn't have to make money and you didn't have to please anybody, you didn't have to do anything to meet anybody's expectations, like your parents or your spouse or your religion or your government. And 3, you could do anything you want, meaning that there are no rules. You can be a unicorn with 7 heads. If you didn't have to make money, you didn't have to please anybody else or meet anybody else's expectations, and you could do anything that you want. And it had to be for yourself. You can't do it for somebody else. You can't go save the world. It has to be something that just you want to do. Okay, so those are the 4 things. You didn't have to make money. You don't have to please anybody. I forget what number 3 is. You can do anything that you want, and it has to be for yourself. What would you do? If your response is, I don't know, it means that you are on the losing side of that conflict. Remember, everybody who comes here incarnated, your conflict will be, should I go do what makes me happy, or should I do what other people, things, institutions want me to do? If you are losing that battle, which means that you are living your life to make God happy, or your spouse or your parents, or even the idea in your head of what it is you're supposed to be, and you don't know what it is you truly want, it's because you're focused on living for other people and getting other people's approval. And I don't care if you're the president of the world, that's still the case. If you are able to say, you know what I would do, and I know it's stupid and silly, but I would just like to travel the world and surf, that's mine. If that's what comes to your mind, now you know. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, what I'm here to tell you is that that silly thing that other people are going to say, oh, it's just a waste of time, that is the most important thing that the universe needs from you. Because the most important thing that needs to happen in this world is that you follow your true path. If you following your true path is more important than the sun rising in the east, it's more important than anything, because when you follow your true path, you are winning the battle against, should I live for others or for myself? Meaning your soul, not yourself. You know, we got this weird thing about yourself and the soul. Yourself is the soul. Am I living for my soul, which is your joy, or am I living for other people? If you live for your joy, for your soul, you automatically help everybody else. Everybody else in the world levels up one, and they get closer to living their joy. It's the most important thing that can ever happen. So every moment that you spend struggling against your soul is a moment that you are losing the battle. And the result of losing that battle is anger, misery, sadness, pain, disease, strife. I know it sounds simplistic, and I don't mean to minimize it, but that is the truth. If everybody had the ability to immediately know what gave them the greatest joy and do it 100%, the entire world, all of the problems in the world would cease. That's not going to happen, because that's not why we're here. We are here to experience this video game, and this challenge is part of this video game. So we have to do it. It's part of what we're here to do. But it doesn't take away the responsibility that that's where we need to end up in order for us to be happy. So what happens if you don't get it right? Because we never do. We always, fail at that test to some degree, which is we've set it up. It's like the Kobayashi Maru. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean. It's you're set up to make mistakes so that you will continue to learn. If you don't get it right, you get to come back and do it again. Any of you out there who say, I'm never coming back, I hate this world and this life, and it's the blah, blah, blah. Anybody who says they don't want to come back, you are guaranteed that you will come back. Because that proves that you're not in your joy. If you're in your joy, then you like being here, and you say, yeah, I'll come back. This place is fun. Or, yeah, I'll go, whatever, stay here, go somewhere else. I'm fine with that. That's a sign that you're getting ready to move on to the next level. And when you're like, yeah, okay, when do we go back? that's when the universe says, no, you don't need to go back. We have another place for you to go now. You go, oh, okay, cool. But if you're like, I'm never going back to that place, how do that? Nope. Yeah, you're going back. Because your soul needs to learn. Otherwise, you wouldn't keep coming back. So your excuses. The excuses, so do you got the idea? You're not this tiny little thing in this big, giant universe that forces you to have a job and forces you to have kids and forces you to... None of those things are true. You choose them. And the result of your battle with your soul results in whatever chaos and craziness you have to live in. Whether it's, no matter what it is. And so what you need to understand is that your excuses are the ways that you blame yourself for not having what you want. So let me explain that. Let's say it's your job. You don't understand. I can only do this job, and if I quit my job and go sail around the world, I won't be able to pay my bills, and you don't understand. I have this, and I can't just quit my job like that, and I hate my job. What's happened is that somewhere along the line you made choices on an unconscious level, meaning you're not aware of it. It's, it amazes me how many people I interact with, and I interact with their unconsciousness. Those of you, if you're on the other end of emails where I'm harsh with you, it's because I'm dealing with your unconscious, meaning the stuff you're not aware of. And the excuses that come to me through your emails are ridiculous, and so I don't, I come at you harshly. It means, and then you'd be surprised how many of those people say, yes, I've worked on myself all my life and I'm very aware. No, you're not. Because that's the whole, two ways I know you're unaware. Number one, you're miserable. Number two, you can't do what you want. And number three, you're telling me how aware you are. Okay, that's how I know that you're unaware of what it is that's really your issue. So anyway, that's me babbling again. So your excuses, let's say it's your job. I can't quit my job. Your job is what you've manifested in order to punish yourself for not doing what you truly want. And therefore, it becomes the excuse. But you end up projecting your internalized self-hatred onto your job so that you can explain it to your conscious mind. Because your conscious mind needs a reason why life is so screwed up. And so this is what you do. This is, by the way, what racists do. It's the most amazing thing in the world. Racists want to talk about how they're superior to other races, and that in the same breath they will talk about how those inferior races are threatening their entire existence. So it's like, well, if you're so superior, how is it that these inferior beings have the ability to take your jobs away, destroy your culture, destroy your nation? Well, it's projection. They feel weak. They feel worthless. They feel all of those things that they say: inferior, stupid, disempowered, ugly, whatever they say. And so since all of that is on the unconscious level, they project it onto something in their external world. Oh, that guy looks different than me. Look at him. He's all the things they feel about themselves. We do that very same process when it comes to the excuses that keep us from having what we want. If it's your job, go through the list of what you say your job is. My job is superficial. It's stupid. It's pointless. It's a pain in the ass. It's boring. That's how you feel about yourself. So you've manifested a job that will reflect back to you how you've chosen to feel about yourself. And here's why you feel that way. Let's say those are the reasons. A superficial, boring, pain in the ass, hard work, worthless, whatever. That's how you feel about yourself. Why? because you're not doing what it is you truly want. I'll give you an example in my life. I remember, in my 30s? I was in my 30s. This was obviously after college, and I had graduated with a bachelor's after being in college for 8 years. I was going to be a minister for the first 4 years, and then I quit that, and I went back and got my bachelor's in theater. And I had a theater company, and I, was directing plays in Hollywood, and acting, and then I had all these jobs on the side. And so I had every job under the sun that an actor could have, and one of them was phone sales. So for numerous times through my life, I would drive into, Los Angeles, and I would spend, 4 hours or 8 hours a day in a cubicle cold calling people and trying to sell them ridiculous nonsense. And I hated that job, but I was good at it. I don't know how, but I would just somehow become number 2 salesman. I would never become number 1. I would always be number 2. I'd be the number 2 salesman, and so I'd make okay money, and I'd have my tie and my shirt, and I'd be driving back home. And as I'm driving back home, I'm driving past the beach that I hadn't surfed in 10 years. And I'm looking at these people out in the water and the sun, and I'm thinking, they're living their lives. I've just wasted my whole day. I've wasted my life. And it was this feeling of just such self-loathing that I'd wasted my life, that I'd thrown my soul away just to get money so I could eat. Why was I doing that? Because I was pursuing my acting career and I had to eat. And so my job represented how I felt about myself. Just like I was a waste of space. That's what my job was. It was just a waste of time that did nothing for anybody. So whatever your excuses are about why you can't go do what you want, that's your own self-hatred that you have towards yourself because you are not listening to your soul. You need to understand that when you do not follow your soul, the first thing that will happen is you will get angry. When anger becomes too intolerable, it becomes flipped on its head and it turns into depression. So if you're depressed, it means underneath all of that, you're angry with yourself. And or you may be sad simply because you're not living your dream. And then we could get into the whole childhood thing, what your parents did to you and all that, but I'm not going to take time to do that. So anyway, I want you to be aware of all of your excuses, because those are the shackles that you put on yourself in order to keep yourself from truly experiencing your soul, and then you wouldn't have any more excuses. All right, so let's see if there are any questions. Again, if you have a question, write the word question. I'll be happy to answer it. If you're new to the channel, again, please write the word question. Okay, craziest info out there. Again, please write the word question so I can answer you. This person says, what if the hand you hold is the hand that holds you down and you can't desert? So are you talking about your spouse or your significant other? So you're saying that you are a slave to the person that you are with because they're holding you down and you can't leave them. So again, remember what I started in the beginning. What I started in the beginning to say was that the illusion is that things are happening to you. You picked that person. So you unconsciously knew before you got together with that person that that person was going to hold you down. That's why you chose them. Because what was really going on is that you were choosing to not follow what gave you joy, and why that is we don't know. Your parents did this to you, I don't know. There's always a reason. Usually comes from childhood. And so you were looking unconsciously for somebody who would continue to justify you not doing what you want to do. So you give me a lot of assumptions and you're trying to force feed your assumptions into me, which I'm not going to chew on, which is number one, that somehow this relationship happened to you and you're an innocent victim of love and you couldn't help yourself. No, you chose that person. You chose that person because they would hold you down. And you can't desert them. Why not? Why can't you desert them? And why is it desert? You know, if what you're saying is that they're holding you down, then you can have a conversation with them and say, hey, I want to go do this. This is what makes my soul happy. And they're going to say, no, I need you to stay here and slam heroin in your neck with me because I'm holding you down. And you say, oh, okay, I can't desert you. So you're going to slam heroin in your neck. Right? So none of that, I'm not going to buy any of it. I know you do. I know you've been trained to do that. And I know you've done it for so long that it sounds, you know, realistic to you. But to be honest, the rest of us don't buy it. So if you really wanted to do what you wanted, you would realize that nobody can stop you unless you allow them to. And that you can go do what you want to do. And if your partner can't rise up to your level and, you know, stop doing whatever they're doing that's holding you down, then you can say, I love you, but I have to go do what gives me joy and what brings me healing and happiness and gives me the ability to be a useful, happy person in the world. And so therefore my time with you is done. People, relationships stop all the time. So again, I don't know you. You probably have some very deep, intricate excuse. They're paraplegic and it's my job to take care of them because their insurance won't pay for it. And you probably got some huge laundry list of why you can't desert them. And again, I have no sympathy for you because you chose it. And if you truly go after your soul, all that stuff will fall away. And you will have to face, don't get me wrong, it will be very challenging. It's very simple, but it will be very challenging for you. But that's what you've created for yourself. So this is what this is. Go up here to neo.thunderwizard.com. If you're serious, if you're writing this, bear in mind that if anybody writes to me and starts to complain about, you don't understand, here are the things that are going on in my life, I'm giving you a way out. Neo.thunderwizard.com. Those 4 things will give you the ability to create the life that you want. It might be challenging for you, but if you follow my directions to the letter, you will be able to do it. If you choose not to take that route, I have no sympathy for you. You have enough money to have a computer. You have enough money to go online. I'm sure you have a phone. You probably have a car. You probably watch television. Maybe you have other things you do like smoke weed or go out and drink. You can find the money to get what you want if you want it. If you don't want it, you won't find the money. So go up there if you want those 4 things, especially the 5 rules to master the matrix. You have no excuses. Well, at least I won't buy into them. Robert Gabriel, I did answer your question. I'm not a Gemini. Why do you care? First off, I don't do Western astrology. I'm a Vedic astrologer. But even in Western astrology, I'm not a Gemini. So I don't know why that's so important to you that you need to know what my zodiac sign is. But I did answer your question. I'm not a Gemini in either Vedic or Western. All right. Weird. All right. I'm just looking at some other things that people have said. All right. Dr. Omni, question. How does one love himself without falling into narcissism? Narcissism is not self-love. Narcissism is born out of insecurity. You know, a narcissist, somebody who has narcissistic borderline personality disorder, they will vacillate between being the hero of the world who's done everything, and then in a moment's notice they will switch and they will become the biggest victim the world has ever seen. You don't understand. It's a witch hunt. They're out to get me. So that's not self-love. Self-love means that you truly love yourself, which means that you are confident, which means that you're comfortable with yourself. So that's not narcissism. So what you're reflecting is what I was talking about earlier, which is that old Abrahamic religious ideal. And if you're new to the channel, you probably haven't heard me talk about, where the Abrahamic religions came from and, what they really do. And I won't get into that, but you're touting that line, regardless of what your religious, whatever your religious leanings are, you've been programmed by the Abrahamic religions, which say that you're a worthless piece of crap and that you're a tiny little thing in God's big universe, and God is pointing down at you and telling you what to do. And one of the things, because God wants everything, there's at least 3 commandments of the 10 which tell you to worship only Jehovah and nobody else, which again tells you how insecure he is, because he can't just give you one that says thou shalt have no other gods before me. He's so insecure he has to write it 3 times, in 2 other commandments. That's somebody who's insecure, and he's a total narcissist. Everything is for his glory. Everything is for him. And to have any kind of self-love is pride, and pride is the original sin, and was the original sin? The original sin was people wanting to know themselves so they could be like God. And he can't tolerate that. And he's insecure because obviously you can, or he wouldn't forbid it, right? Because you can become like him, otherwise he wouldn't tell you to not do it. And if you try and be your own God, then he wants to put you in eternal damnation. He doesn't want to just wipe you out of existence. He wants to keep you alive so that he can keep feeling better about himself by punishing you eternally. That's narcissism. So you have fallen into that. You've been told if you're a good spiritual person, you don't love yourself. That's narcissistic. No, it's not. Narcissism is insecurity, and self-love is you're comfortable with yourself. You don't need to lord it over other people, and you're not willing to become somebody's doormat. You can understand and have empathy for where people are at, but you don't let their state bring you down. Like the other person said, the hand I'm holding is holding me down and I can't leave them, and you don't understand. I'm a victim of no, you chose that person. A person who loves themselves says, you know what? You could do what I'm doing if you wanted. You could have your own life and you could be comfortable with yourself if you wanted. And if you did, I would love to do that with you, but I can see that that's not what's happening. And so I have to, for my own health, and to best help you, I'm going to break away from this unhealthy connection. That's what a loving person does. All right, Paige Keller. I've always wanted to act, but I know California is super... What? Assumption. I've always wanted to act, but I know California... What? So the only actors in the world are in California? There's a big assumption in there. So you're not just, and I'm not judging it, but let's be real here. You're not talking about wanting to act. You're talking about wanting to be a working actor in film and television in California. By the way, there's film and television all over the world. You don't have to be in California to do film and television. There's also this thing called theater, and theater is everywhere. And there's this thing called community theater, where you can do theater in your own hometown. You can do your own films and upload them to YouTube. So first off, let's just destroy your entire assumption that it has to be in California. Now, having said that, I can tell that that's what you want. So you don't just want to act, you want to make it big in Hollywood. I attempted that, so I know exactly what that's all about. And again, here's another assumption. I know California is super expensive and I'm already in debt. Well, if number one, Paige, I recognize your name. So I know that you've watched my videos. I don't know if you've gone up here and done any of these other things. Again, It boggles my mind the amount of people who want to just come onto my channel and watch me rant for 3 hours, and they don't put the time and the effort into actually doing the work. It's up here, neo.thunderwizard.com. I've given it to you. The answers are there. If you do it, you won't be asking me illogical questions like, my dream is over here, but it's super expensive. Because you would know that if you are following your soul desire, the universe must give you the resources to achieve it. Because why? We said it earlier. When you follow the joy of your soul, automatically everything in the universe gets bumped up to the next level. So everything in the universe is waiting for you to do that, meaning that people, places, things, the universe will make sure that you have what you need. The fact that you are in debt, remember, if you had gone up and really worked, if you haven't already, if you had looked at the 5 rules to master the matrix, you would know that the universe responds in a way that when you are operating out of fear, which means you're not doing what you love, the universe responds in a way that you perceive as being punitive, which means I'm in debt. You're in debt because you're not doing what you want. Because you're not doing what you want, the universe says, I've got this blank check with all the resources that you need, but I'm not going to give it to you because you told me not to give you your resources until you were doing what you want to do. If acting in Los Angeles is truly what your soul wants to do, then the universe is like saying, I got this check here, but you're not in LA pursuing your dream, so I can't give it to you. Which means that you stay in Podunk, wherever you are, working as a waitress, and you're in debt. So I already know that you either haven't been taking advantage of the clear path that I've given you to answer all of your questions and tell you how to do it, and or you're not taking action on what I'm telling you. Because you've asked this question before, Paige. So my question is, should I just save up money and move to LA or start somewhere closer? I don't care what you do. Why do you need to, I mean, is saving up money going to help? Does that mean you've had the ability to save up money this whole time and you haven't done it? Here's what I would do. Here's what I would tell you to do instead. Again, bear in mind, this could be my projection based on my experience. I was in Hollywood. I did the whole Hollywood thing. And I had, in fact, if you go on YouTube and look for it, you can find the only film that I did that actually ended up somewhere. I was when you went into Blockbuster, remember Blockbuster Video? There was a time when you could walk into Blockbuster Video and you'd see my face plastered on these DVDs. In fact, I brought one with me just to remind me of all that stuff. So I've been there, so I know what I'm talking about. But do you want fame? Or do you want to act? Because acting does not mean Hollywood. In fact, let me destroy that illusion for you. Hollywood has almost nothing to do with the art of acting. In fact, I have seen Hollywood destroy some of the best actors I've ever known. In fact, there was a point in time I can remember when the best actors that I knew, like they were brilliant artists, they couldn't even get an agent because they were so brilliant. To be a good actor, you have to be connected and vulnerable to your emotions. You have to, true acting is a wonderful way to truly get honest with all of your unconscious issues. It's a brilliant way. And it's a way of helping others. That's the whole point. When you're truly acting and you're living that character, assuming that character is a brilliantly written character, the people in the audience have this vicarious experience of experiencing their own unconscious emotional issues. They go home and they talk about it. They work through their issues and it makes their life better. Being an actor is about being a shamanic healer. You don't have to go to Hollywood to do that. Now, if you want to go to Hollywood because you think being an actor means being in movies, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. If that's where your joy is, go do it. But understand that the people who make it in that business for the most part are not brilliant artists. They are people who know how to play the game. If you want to make it in Hollywood, you're going to have to know how to schmooze. You're going to have to know how to lie. You're going to have to know how to play the game and play people. And you're going to be put in compromising situations, especially if you're an attractive young woman. You will be, with somebody really powerful who will be offering you something, and you're going to be asked to do something you don't want to do. So I've seen real artists get destroyed by that. So again, what does acting mean to you? You should really look at that. Now, I've known people who, when they showed up, from Kansas or wherever, who wanted to be actors, and they weren't good actors, but they knew how to play the game, and they were ruthless, and they wanted to be successful, and some of them made it. And good for them. They got what they wanted. If you ask me, do I think that they're good artists? I don't think they are. I don't think that they even know what acting is all about. So if you say you want to be an actor, you don't have to go to Hollywood to be an actor. So I would say if that's what you want, you don't even have to move there. You can start acting now. Go take acting classes. Go to, you can go back to college and take acting in college. There's just so many ways. You don't have to go anywhere to learn how to act or be an actor. Being a famous movie star, that's something else. So I don't know if I answered your question, but Robert Gabriel, I'm happy that you're obsessed with astrology. So here's how I'll answer your question. Go up here to courses.thunderwizard.com. And if you're obsessed with astrology, I'm assuming you're obsessed with Western astrology. Western astrology is off by 24 degrees. So the astrology that you're obsessed with is actually incorrect. Because what ended up happening is that the astrology that was brought over to Greece 2,000 years ago, which is the basis for Western astrology, goes off of the tropical zodiac, which is an incorrect understanding of the precession of the stars. And it goes off by a degree every 70 years. And so after 2,000 years, it is off by 24 degrees. So the astrology you think you're looking at is off. So go up here to courses.thunderwizard.com, take my course, a Vedic astrology course, and in that course, I give people my chart because I teach them how to do a chart, and you can know exactly what my sign is and where all the planets are. If you want to find out all that is about me, go there and do that and learn real astrology. Okay? Avery W. question. Where does the mindset of always expecting the worst happen? Where does the mindset of always expecting the worst to happen and very low where does it stem from? I don't know the specifics. I would need to know, the specifics of the person. But the bottom line is somewhere in childhood, some parent, because here let me go back to what I've talked about many, many times. The ideal is that a parent reflects without agenda to the child their true essence. So that when the child follows their joy, the parent responds positively. And the child's first priority is to survive. And so in order to survive, the child must make mommy and daddy happy. Whatever it is that makes mommy and daddy happy, the child will conform in order to meet that, in order to make mommy and daddy happy so that mommy and daddy will feed and clothe them. It's a very important survival mechanism which operates, the universe was operating from the assumption that parents would be good parents, but they're not. So if your parent is broken and has whatever normal issues that broken people have, then what will happen is the child will pick up that in order to make mommy and daddy happy, I have to, in this case, expect the worst. Mommy and daddy always expect the worst. They're afraid. I'm going to be afraid because then I'll vibe with mommy and daddy and they will take care of me. Now what happens is you're supposed to become an adult and forget about that and look at reality in front of you. 5 Rules to Master the Matrix, neo.thunderwizard.com. When you understand what that is, you go, oh, my parents were wrong. This is how it works. But on an unconscious level, we still want to be loved. If you never truly got love, if you never truly got empowerment or security, then you will keep searching for it even when you're an adult for the rest of your life. And it will kill some people. It kills some people. So if a parent doesn't do their job, meaning that they're comfortable within themselves, somebody asked about narcissism, if they truly love themselves, then they're going to be totally okay with whatever their child is and what they're meant to be, and they will reflect that back to them. If they're not okay with themselves, then they're not going to be okay with their child being their true self. You have to understand that for dysfunctional parents, the most threatening thing is a child's soul. Because the child's soul will, in the beginning, represent infinity, which they haven't achieved. And so they will take out all of their self-hatred and whatever their dysfunction is on their kid. So this kid got the message that the worst is supposed to happen and that they're no good because that's what mommy and daddy wanted from them or imposed upon them. Now, you know somebody like this, so my next thought is, why are you asking me about somebody else? Is it because you want to fix them or because you want to learn about yourself? If it's because you want to fix them, then you are projecting onto them and you're trying to fix yourself. So the thing to do is to use them as a lesson. And you acknowledge that, wow, look at what that person's doing and how much it's destroying their life. If they come and ask for your help, you can give it to them. You can say, go to neo.thunderwizard.com. If they ask for your help, you can give it to them. But if they don't ask for your help, it's none of your business. And it's their karma, and they get to destroy themselves. And you don't have to stay and watch if you don't want. But it's not your job to fix them. If you're doing it because you want to improve yourself, then you go, let's see. I watch them do that action and look at how miserable they are. My brother is my best teacher because he's the most miserable person I've ever known. I don't even know if he's alive, to be honest with you. Whenever I have fear about taking action towards what I truly want, which is going to happen if you go after what you truly want, you will become afraid. Whenever I'm afraid of going after what I truly want, I stop and I ask myself, what would my brother do? What would my brother say? And then I do the exact opposite. Usually what my brother would say or do would be something that would keep me from taking action because he never did. So you can use your friend as a teacher. Whenever you're going after your highest joy and you're afraid or you're confused, stop and say, what would my friend do or say? And then do the exact opposite of that. They will show you the way towards your highest success. All right, let's see here. I just feel like Hollywood would help me reach more people. Come on, Paige. Look, if you want to be famous, then own that. I'm okay with that. If you're okay with that, I'm okay with it. You're not okay with it. So it makes me want to challenge you on it. Because you want to give me some bullshit excuse about, well, I really just want to go to Hollywood, so with my acting, I want to reach more people. Then if that were the case, then you would be a writer. Because a writer is somebody who's going to write the beautiful dialogue that will give the truth to people. Actors are just the vessels. An actor is only as good as the material he or she has. So you wanting to go to Hollywood and act means you want to express yourself to a lot of people. So reaching more people isn't what you want. You want a lot more people to express your emotions to. You want attention. I'm not judging it. I was an actor. You want to do it to a big audience. You want a lot of people to be there and experience as you experience expressing yourself. So let's cut the bullshit. Be honest with yourself. You want attention. You want people to experience you. You won't feel validated until people experience you expressing yourself. I did it. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I think I got it out of my system. At least in that way. I'm doing it in a different way now. But, please, you'll be a lot better off if you're honest. If you know that you want to go to Hollywood because you want to be famous and be seen by millions of people, then you will be able to play that ruthless game. And you'll be good at your craft. You're going to be good at your craft because you will then want people to see you. If you're trying to bullshit yourself and you're doing it for some other reason, I'm just wanting to help, I'm not saying that's not part of it, then you're going to be miserable because you will fight yourself. You've got to be ruthless about it. I wasn't ruthless enough because that's not important to me. I was about the art. The best work I did was in some of the smallest audiences. Some of the best compliments I got were when I would go and I would audition for movies and the casting directors would say, "How come I've never seen you before?" And it's because I wouldn't get cast because I would make the other actors look bad, or because I was really good at what I did, which meant my craft forced people to have feelings and experiences, and it was frightening. Television and film is not about the art of acting. Television and film is about entertainment. I'll prove it to you. Have you ever noticed that people on advertisements are very non-threatening, that you enjoy looking at them? They're just beautiful enough. Who's that one? Here's a perfect example. In the US, they've got this character Jan for the Toyota commercials. I don't know Jan as an actor, but I just know how she comes across. She's perfect. She's an attractive woman, but she's not overtly sexual. So she doesn't threaten other women. She's attractive enough so that men will watch her. She doesn't make you feel one way or another. She just makes you feel comfortable, sort of like a mannequin that's come alive, or a happy robot person. Now, I'm giving you the extremes, and that's a judgment, and I'm sorry if Jan, the actress, is watching it, but that's why she got that job, because she had that neutrality about her. That's what Hollywood is looking for. So if you're super talented and you go in there and you force people to have all these experiences and you think, I'm going to make it big in Hollywood, maybe you will. I don't wish ill against you. But I'm telling you that Hollywood isn't looking for that, because Hollywood is about money. And people pay money to be put into a state of hypnosis. People come home from work, they've been at their crappy job all day that they hate, and they don't want to sit and think about why they have this crappy job and they hate themselves for doing it. So they want to turn on television so they can have some neutral mind porn that will sort of put them in this lulled state while they eat their food and their Cheetos and they sit around and fart, and they don't have to think about their lives. So is Hollywood really going to help you reach more people? Do you want to become an actress, or do you want fame? I'm not judging it. You got to be honest with yourself. If you want to be an actress, you don't need to go to Hollywood. Same thing with the music business. Same thing. Okay? All right. Let's keep going here. No one, thank you for coming on the channel. Please do me a favor and write the word question so that I can see your question. There wasn't a lot of other stuff around it, but if you're just writing and you don't write the word question, I'll miss it. How does one mastering the perineum muscle help with chi or prana flow? When did I say that mastering the perineum muscle would help with chi or prana flow? Are you asking me a question about what I teach? Because that will help you if you ask you things about what I teach. The perineum muscle can be used as a pump to pump sexual fluid up the spine, which will help with chi or prana flow. He's not asking a question. I didn't get to the rest of it. He's actually telling us what he does. All right. I notice that when I flex it or relax it, the flow of energy changes. No, the only thing that changes is your experience. Having a sensation does not mean that energy has flowed. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. You're just talking about the superficial experience that you're having. You know, if you want to, there's all kinds of ways to get those superficial experiences, but using the perineum muscle is something that is taught, and I recommend that you actually train with a teacher. Just going for an experience because you saw something online and you're doing something and may mean nothing, may not mean anything. Again, if you're interested, I don't know if you've practiced it, go up to Celestial Chi-gong, which is number 2 in neo.thunderwizard.com. That's the real stuff. You want to find out what real energy work is? That's it. Go right there. Speaking of which, I don't see any more questions. So when you guys aren't asking me questions, I'm going to sell you stuff. And so now we're going to talk about exactly what my friend was asking about, which was Qigong. So this is the Qigong that I teach. And in my experience, it's the most powerful energy practice that I believe you can find without, having an actual master teach you one-on-one. So here it is. Hi, I'm Michael Denny of SpiritTao.com, and this is Celestial Negung Part 1. Celestial Negung means that this is power that is descending from heaven. And the idea is that we are all microcosms of the entire universe. You are the entire universe, and everything around you is simply the projection. You are looking within yourself. So when you look up into the stars at night, you're actually looking deep within your own body. When you look at the sun, the moon, the trees, the flowers, you're looking within yourself. This is Negung. And so what we're doing is we're simply releasing that infinity from within us. You are tapping into and releasing the power that is within our own body, our own cells, our own organs. So one of the reasons that I'm making this DVD is in the hope that the essence and the spirit of the teaching of the Shang Qing arts can be taught to the world at large, and it is my hope that the core essence of what the Shang Qing tradition is will continue to live and grow and evolve. As we move on into the Aquarian age, everything is changing. I don't need to tell you that. The entire world is changing, and what we are seeing now is that if people hold on to external things, they are very challenged in life. And those who are making the transition into the next phase that we are moving into in the world as we approach 2012, those who look within and find their source of strength from within, those are the people who are getting the most out of life and will make the transition into the next phase of evolution most comfortably. It is my belief that the Shang Qing tradition is one method whereby human beings can evolve into the next level of being in the most comfortable fashion and be able to take advantage of the rapid, energetic, mental, and spiritual changes that are going on in the world today. All right, we're back. Okay, so I'm a little worried that I might have been too pessimistic with Paige. Listen, Paige, if the thought of you going to Hollywood and becoming an actress gives you joy, you should go do it. I don't know if you've taken any acting or training, but that might be a place to start. I don't know that showing up in Hollywood with no acting experience is going to be the funnest thing to do. It might be. I don't know. You might love it there. I don't know. I personally can't stand it. I mean, it's a dirty, crowded, disgusting, ugly place. So I'm a nature guy. So I never liked it, even when I was doing my thing. But I trained. I went to college and I trained in theater, and I did a lot of theater, and I did a lot of student films, and I did a lot of training. Having said that, a lot of people just showed up in Hollywood with no training and no experience, and you can still take acting classes and all that kind of stuff there if you want. But yeah, I guess I'm just feeling a little protective, because it sounds like you have this kind of naive idea of what it is to go to Hollywood and be an actor. Having said that, you should do whatever it is that gives you the greatest joy. If the thought of going to Hollywood and being an actor gives you joy, you should go do it. Regardless of what I say. Just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean it won't work for you. All right. Let's see what else I don't see any more. Ghost in the Machine question. Can you give an astrology report for this solstice and Neptune retrograde? Neptune is Western astrology. Even though there are some Vedic astrologers who delve in those things, I don't. I haven't learned that. I'm still in the basics of Vedic astrology, so I wouldn't know anything about Neptune retrograde. It's a good question. The truth is that this move over here has kicked my ass. It's been a lot of fun, but I mean, it just physically, how long have I been here? Let's see, today is the 22nd, so I've been here for about a week, right? It's been about a week, a little over a week. And so it's been, the jet lag and the time change and just all the emotions that have been going on, which is why I'm doing that other thing. Sometimes all I can do is just sort of talk about how I'm feeling about it, and I really had to pull myself. I was out today. I've been doing some surfing, and sometimes twice in one day, because the waves are so nice and it's such a beautiful place, and I'm here and it's right there, and all I have to do is just walk across the street. And so I've been really tired, but I'm walking away from my whole life, everything. The only thing that I have that connects me to the United States is my citizenship and my driver's license, and my passport. I have nothing else there. And I'm in a country that I, don't live in. I mean, I'm not even allowed to even ask to live here. So all of the feelings of letting go of my whole life and being here and being in the moment, it's been very intense. So to get my mind in the space of doing an astrology report for a solstice, I don't know that I have the brain capacity right now to do that. But I'll think about it. Robert Gabriel, if you have a question, what is it that I ask you to do? Write the word question, right? You said Vedic astrology, which comes from India, right? Vedic astrology, actually, both Western astrology and Vedic astrology come from what is now Afghanistan, in what was known as Bactria. There was a city-state, a culture, that worshipped the stars and the planets. And they created the 12 signs and the 12 houses and all of that stuff. And what happened is 2,000 years ago, wise men from India and wise men from Greece both traveled to this place in between the two, which was in Bactria or Afghanistan. And they learned whatever it is that they learned, and then they took it back to their respective homelands. So that's why Western astrology and Vedic astrology both have the 12 signs and the same 7 planets, right? It's because of that. So it isn't from India. It is the version that the Indians use. Now the Indians, I don't know exactly how this happened, but for some reason Western astrology didn't catch on that the tropical zodiac was an inaccurate measurement of the stars and the planets. Because when you look at a Western chart and you're looking at the chart for any time period, like if you were to take a snapshot in Western astrology right now, the stars that you look at would not be the stars above your head. And the whole idea is you are taking a snapshot of the influence of the stars and the planets that are hitting you right now. So it's off. It's what would have been 2,000 years ago. It's not right now. So that's the reason I don't do Western astrology. And when people say, no, Western is this and Vedic is that, and, neither one is better than the other. Yes, one of them has an accurate an accurate recording of the constellations and the planets, and one doesn't. So that's why I don't do it. It's off. And it has to do with the way the planet is and where you blah, 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 blah. But, they didn't figure that out. And I don't know if they did. I heard somewhere that they did, and for some reason the Western astrology didn't use it, even though they can. They chose not to for some reason. I don't know. But the Vedics did, and they adjusted. And so they used the sidereal zodiac, which is the actual measurement of the sky above you. Snowbuddy, question. Do you have an opinion on Falun Gong? First off, you're new to the channel, Snowbuddy. I don't talk about other teachings and other teachers. It's disrespectful to them because I may, out of my ignorance, say something I don't know. And I don't like being put in the position of wanting to, what's that word? Gossip about somebody else, because that's what people are doing. What do you think of so-and-so? You're asking me to gossip about somebody else. It's disrespectful to them. It's disrespectful to me because you're either don't know enough about what I teach or bored with what I teach. You have to go ask me about somebody else. You want to ask me about Chi-gong? Why don't you ask me a question about Chi-gong? And why do you want to ask me about my opinion of another Qigong practice? I just told you where to go to do the Qigong that I think is best. Why do you want to ask me about their practice? It's disrespectful to me. Having said that, the only thing that I know about Falun Gong is that they're a cult. That's the only thing that I know. That in and of itself is enough to make me not want to do it. So in the future, I would love to answer any questions you have about Qigong. Do me the respect of asking me about my Qigong. Do me even more respect by actually practicing it and then asking me about it because you practice it. That way you will show me that you respect me and what I teach, and then I will be enthused and excited to answer your question. No one question. Will you and Black Earth Productions ever do another show together? I am looking into the future. Yes, I'm going to. I don't know. I would do it if he asked me. All he has to do is ask me, and I would be happy to do it. Okay. Monica Figar. This is not a question, but I'm going to read it anyway because there's nothing else going on. Wednesday, I will purchase the Celestial Qigong. I am excited about that because I watched your videos last night and woke up this morning with the most amazing energy flow. Cool. I'm excited for you. All right. No other questions. So that tells me that what I got to do, well, when I get rooted, I'm still not here yet. I'm still showing up. Parts of me is still showing up every day. I'll have to put more ad videos together so that I can take up time while you're not asking me questions. All right, so I'm going to take that as a sign that we're going to call it, for me, an evening here. But bear in mind, again, let's go over what I was saying. Your excuses, your job, your relationship, your parents, your church, the country you live in, you're in debt, your kids. I get really emotional when I hear that. When people say, you don't understand, as a parent, or as a single parent, or my kids, it's a horrible reason not to follow your joy for two reasons. Number one, it's not your kids' fault that you chose to have them. It's not your kid's fault that you chose to have unprotected sex and then chose after that to keep the child. It's not the kid's fault. So whenever you use the fact that you have kids because that you don't have the time or money to go make yourself happy, I'm going to lose a lot of respect for you. Own it. If you love having kids so much that you're grateful for the opportunity of not being able to have the time to go do other things because being with them gives you such joy, then I will respect that. Then you had kids for the right reason. It's the reason I don't have kids. Second reason is your job is to teach your kids how to get the most out of life, not how to be angry and stressed out all the time and not have enough money. That's not what your job is. Your job isn't to sacrifice your happiness for them. You are going to make them feel shameful, which means they will grow up to be just like you, and they will be too stressed out because they've forced themselves to have kids. And so if you really love your kids, then you find a way to get the resources and you find the way to get the time to go make yourself happy. Because your kids will go, wow, look at mom, look at dad. Even though all this other stuff is going on, they still go out and they paddleboard. They still go to the gym together. Or they still go and do art together. Or they paint. And we don't live in a house as big as the guys next door, but man, they love us and we love them. That's your job. Nobody said anything about kids. It's just, every time I think about it, it irks me. People using their kids as an excuse for why they're not doing what they want to do. Shamanic Wisdom Keeper question: what is the best use of anger in context to transformation and growth? Well, the best use of anger is to acknowledge your anger. Anger is an emotion that is designed to help you to take action to fix a problem. That's why it comes up. So if you're angry, it means that, like if somebody is an angry person all the time, it means that they're not living their joy. And that they're really angry with themselves, but they're projecting it out on everybody else. But what is happening is that that anger is trying to get them to go, hang on, I'm unwilling to be miserable. I'm going to go do what makes me happy. And then the anger should dissipate. Anger is meant to be a momentary feeling. It's not meant to be a lifelong feeling. So people who have chronic pain, they're angry. People who have tendinitis, they're angry. They're angry with themselves for not going after what they want. They're not conscious of this. Consciously, they don't know it. It's happening on an unconscious level. And the anger wants to be acted upon, and they're not acting upon the desire of their soul. So the anger just goes into their tissues and gives them chronic pain, or gives them disease, or gives them fibromyalgia, or gives them chronic depression, or what is that other one where people don't have enough energy? I forget what that. It's all the same thing. It's unconscious rage at themselves for not doing what they want. So the best use of anger is to ask yourself, why are you angry? What is it that you're not doing? For me, when I was doing that sales job, what I wasn't doing is I wasn't surfing. And I wasn't surfing because I was trying to become a big movie star so that I could prove to my dad that I was something. You know, I was out of anger, out of spite. And I was really angry with myself that I wasn't surfing every day. And I'd drive past, again, it was the strangest feeling. I'm going to work, I have a tie on, I'm going to come home with a bunch of money. That's good, right? That's what good people do. That's what successful people do. A good person goes and makes money at a job. That's what I'm going to go do. And I'm watching some guy out there, you know, on his surfboard sitting in the sun, and he's not doing anything, but he is living life. In my book, he was accomplishing something. He was connected to reality, and I wasn't. And it made me furious with myself. And that made me furious with the rest of the world. So the best use of anger is to ask yourself what it is that you're not doing that you want to do, and then go do it. It's a very simplistic way to look at it, but that's the shortest answer to your question. Hey, Jameson Colliday. I'd prefer it if you didn't try and, this isn't like a free-for-all discussion. If you have a question for me, please ask me a question. Otherwise, I don't know you well enough yet to tell you what the otherwise is. I have gotten to all the questions. I was just about to get offline because I'm tired. I've been on for an hour and a half almost. So if you don't have a question, I'm gonna hang up. All right. So I don't see any more questions. So I will go ahead and call it an evening. Again, the point is that if you're angry, if you have excuses why you're not doing what you want to do, your excuses are your anger towards yourself about not following your highest awareness. And the simple answer to everything is to follow what makes you happy and then deal with the fallout from yourself, family, friends, society, because there will be. Something or somebody will prop up in front of you to try and stop you from doing it. And that's the goal. The goal is that in order for your soul to grow, it has to take a risk and do something that feels frightening to it, which will then give you the ability to operate more authentically from your soul, which is what spirituality is really all about. All right, so that's it for me today. I'm going to go and I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go eat some sushi or something. All right, guys. Go up here to these links. Again, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell button. Go up to the links. They're there for a reason. Okay? And I believe that these are the simplest ways to get everything that you want, including your spiritual happiness. I believe that. Otherwise, I wouldn't teach it. All right, that's it for me, guys. Talk to you later.